Aloha, Joshers, and welcome to another episode of JEEZEEbox. Today we're going to be talking about The Lion King. There were definitely some changed elements in the live action versus the original. The original is a classic. You're going to be hard-pressed to find someone who isn't just going to say, The Lion King is my favorite Disney movie. It's got enjoyable music. It has a really good plot, including an epically tragic moment for Simba with the death of his father. Great villains and great music for the villains. However, in the live-action remake, on that end, the villain, Scar, his song is actually altered in this one, and it's significantly less enjoyable. When they announced, I wasn't initially going to see it. I wasn't going to see Aladdin because I thought it was disrespectful to Robin Williams. When I watched it, I realized it was not, and it actually had, had value in its own way. Scar's song in the original was great. It hits all those notes. It's got a good epic sound to it. It's got fun colors with the greens and the shadow work. And then in this one though, even Scar's design is not as similar as a lot of the other characters. In the live action, they went for that hyper realism, similar to in the Jungle Book. However, they changed Scar's design. He doesn't have that black mane anymore. He's a little more just a beat up looking lion, just a regular lion. And his song, while it does have certain similar verse work, it is very much so a muted version. Like, they don't put nearly the orchestra behind it. They don't put nearly the intensity and the work into it. Is he still saying kind of the same thing? Yes, but there's a little more of like a holding back on it. And I saw the betterment of it the first time I watched this, as well as I still saw it this time. And I've had this conversation with a couple of people, and that's what I think is cool about it being muted is that it doesn't motivate you to identify with or enjoy or otherwise appreciate the villain through his song, where you're like, oh, it's such a good song. Like when you're thinking back on like The Lion King, and you're like, oh, I remember that song. Be prepared for the So on this one, if I was a kid and I was growing up and I watched this, it's an arguably forgettable song, and it's doesn't hold nearly the same kind of substance or value, which I think is for its betterment at the end, that it doesn't champion the villain in that way for audiences. I thought Timon and Pumbaa's voice work was really well done. It was Seth Rogen as Pumbaa, and I want to say Billy Eichner as Timon, and I thought they both did a good job. It is unfortunate. That's one of those where there were some complaints over the changing of the actors, was because there are still some of the Lion King people that are still around. And so the upset is that why are you not just giving them their job back, basically, and why are you recasting? And there's different reasons for that. I couldn't speak to exactly what their motivations were behind scenes. Maybe somebody was asking for too much money. Maybe that just wasn't the vibe they were trying to go to, and they were trying to differentiate it a little bit further. It could be any number of things. What I will say is that I can see the benefit of giving those roles to new characters, because like if you're a kid and you're growing up and then Seth Rogen's in your movie, that gives you a little bit more value to this kid. They do that in animated movies a lot, where they'll pick kind of premier actors and stuff. Like they're gonna grab Justin Bieber and throw him into a Kung Fu Panda or something if they can, just because then people are like, oh, Justin Bieber's in. Jackie Chan's in Kung Fu Panda. You got Jack Black. You got Angelina Jolie. You got any number of these guys, and that's what they shoot for in these movies. And it's because then you have that pull for an audience as well. I like Zazu as a character a lot more in the live action one. I always thought he was just the most annoying little bird in the original, but when he shows up for the Pride Rock battle and is doing a kind of similar vein to what he did in the original, it is I thought it had a little more intensity on the live action version, is what I will say. I would give Lion King, either one is enjoyable. If I'm going to choose to rewatch one, I would I would think it'll be more likely I'll rewatch the classic because that's what I grew up on. But I see the benefit for a young audience to watch the other one as well. If not, otherwise to watch that one and watch the other one after the fact, which is kind of interesting because you wouldn't expect to hear that. It's probably going to be Disney blasphemy of me to say that, but that's kind of my vibe on that. So why dress like you when you can wear me?
Thank you.
Be prepared for the... Yeah.